The standing stones of Stenness form part of the heart of Neolithic Orkney. Just south of the Ring of Brodgar and west of Maeshowe Chambered Cairn, the stones stand overlooking the Loch of Stenness and the Loch of Harry. Stenness comes from the Norse meaning stone promontory. They date from between 5,400 to 4,500 years ago, with radiocarbon dating the work beginning at the site around 3,100 BC, and there was once at least 11 stones, making an ellipse of around 30 metres, or roughly 98 feet, in diameter. Only 4 survive today, with stumps marking other stones. It's believed that the nearby Barnhouse village was inhabited shortly before these stones were erected. There was evidence of a large hearth which had been on the site of an earlier smaller one, and animal bones and pottery have been found at the site. It's clear from evidence found at the stones that access was restricted, although people outside could hear what was going on. It was possibly used for ceremonies, but what these ceremonies were is conjecture, although it's possible they were to do with the connection between the living and the dead, a link to the natural world, and maybe for the passing of time, for example, the summer and winter solstices. The site has changed due to farming, and nothing remains of the original henge, a rock-cut ditch that once enclosed the stones. The stones were placed in deep foundations, with the tallest stone today being over 6 metres, or nearly 20 feet tall, and the work to construct them may have taken decades. The thin stones have sharp-angled tops, like those found at the nearby Ring of Brodgar, with 2 of the stones angled towards one another. They mirror the hills seen on Hoy in the distance. According to Dr. Robert Henry, an antiquary in the 18th century, he believed the stones at Stenness were the Temple of the Moon, with the nearby Ring of Brodgar, the Temple of the Sun. He claimed it had been customary, on New Year's Day, for people to meet at the church of Stenness, where they danced and feasted for 5 days. Young people who fell in love at the time would then sneak away to the Temple of the Moon, where the woman would fall down on her knees and pray to Odin, hoping she would keep all her promises to the young man who stood near her. They would then go to the Temple of the Sun, where the man would make the same promise on his knees to Odin. They would then complete the ceremony at the Odin's stone, which had a hole in it for the young couple to put their hands through and clasp each other's hands. The Odin Oath, as it was known, has been lost in the mists of time, but in the 1990s, excavations took place just north of the standing stones of Stenness, and the place where the Odin stone once stood is thought to have been found some 60 metres or 65 yards north of them. There are several legends regarding the Stone of Odin. A young man fell in love with a young woman, and a promise of marriage was made. At the time she was pregnant with his child, but he deserted her. The young man was called before the session, with the elders ready to mete out a severe punishment on him. The minister asked them why they were being so harsh, and they replied, "You do not know what a bad man this is. He has broken the promise of Odin." Being pushed on what they meant, they told him about the stone at Stennhouse, where it was customary, after promises had been made for the two parties involved to join hands through it. These promises made were known as the Promise of Odin. In another story, a Stenness woman who had taken this oath with her pirate lover travelled to London to retract the oath as she held his dead hand. He'd been hanged off Greenwich. Once, a farmer at Turridale in Evie made his way to the Odin stone as he wanted to gain magical powers. For 9 months at each full moon, he visited it, circling the stone 9 times on his bare knees. Then he would look through the hole and make his wish. Whether the wish came true or not remains a mystery. Another story associated with the stone was that if a child was passed through it, he or she would never suffer from palsy in old age. Right up until the stone was destroyed, it was custom to leave an offering at it, such as a piece of bread, a piece of cheese, a rag, or even a stone. It had been a favourite place for lovers to meet in the warm summer evenings, but was demolished by a local farmer in 1814 to make way for his cowshed. This man, known locally as a ferry louper, that is a stranger from the south, and his destruction of the stone caused strong resentment in the neighbourhood. His house and farm were attacked as locals tried to burn them down. He stopped the demolition of the other stones. The standing stones of Stenness were taken into state care in 1906, and the fallen stones at the site were re-erected. In 1999, it became part of the Heart of Neolithic Orkney World Heritage Site. It's a scheduled monument. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.